So as I talk to different people, one thing that a couple people have said that they'd like to see in the new rewrite of CyberOffice is a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is a scheduler that you can see the projects and what goes into the projects on a timeline. So in the evenings and weekends, I've been working on that project, on this coding, trying to find a way to make this work and make it look like the way you want it to. So this is the solution I've come up with so far. So to give us a quick demonstration, I'm going to add a task. I'm going to call this task Foundation. Okay, so we've got a task now. It's a simple foundation. Now, as I typed it in there, it does default to the Sunday of the time that I'm showing, and that. But you can easily move it to any day that you want to. As you move this, you'll notice that the start time and end time is changing over here. Let's go to Friday. See how it changed. Okay, another thing you can do is drag it out. As you drag it out, the next week will appear as needed. And so let's say this will take Friday through Monday, so 4 days. Okay, if you double click on it, you can change the dates. You can also say how much of it's completed. So let's say about a third of it's completed, and you'll notice that it shades itself in. The darker shade is showing that it's that much completed. Now, okay, so I'm going to add another task, and I'm going to call this walls. And of course the wall is going to come after, and let's say walls is going to be, for now, that big, that distance. Okay, actually, so up to this point I've been showing you that I drag it and pull it over, but you can also click over here and you can set the start and end date. So I'm going to leave the start date the same, but I'm going to move U all the way to the 16th. Okay, and hit enter, and it drags it all the way to the 16th. Okay, so right now I've got this, notice up here I've got day, week, month. I'll probably be taking out day because it doesn't make sense just to look at one day, but as I was working on this, I went ahead and put these 3 in here. Okay, so the week, right now I'm on week. You can tell that because it's darker than month or day. But as you get something this big, you're going to want to click on the month so that you can actually see what's coming up. Okay, I'm going to go back to week for a second. Okay, foundation walls. Okay, so let's say these are everything that's going in. We got a new building. Let's say this is a commercial cell. Let's say in the commercial, once again, I don't know what is all involved, but I'm going to be making up this stuff. I think you can follow along and see what I'm talking about, even though I probably got the terms incorrect in the order. Okay, so right now I've very simplified it. I said it's a foundation task and a wall task, but we don't have to leave it that simple. Let's say foundation. I'm going to add a child. And this one, I'm going to say dig foundation. Okay. Notice what happens. The original task went from being a block like this and this to just being an arrow or a time span indicator. So dig foundation. Let's say you're at 26%, and I'm going to change the end date to Saturday the 2nd. Save it. Okay, now this is another way you can change the date, the start and the end time of each task. Now right now these are considered child task of the parent task. Okay, so notice when I change the the dates of the child task, the parent task shrunk with it. If I was to drag this out and say it's going to take 2 days, the parent task will actually grow with it. Okay, now let's add another task. So I said dig foundation, and let's say this one is called framing. Don't know really what that would involve, but I'm just going to call it framing. Okay, so now the framing, when you add a new child task, it automatically creates it the full length of the parent task. Okay, obviously it's not going to be able to be done until after the digging is done, so I'm going to drag it to after this, to after the dig foundation. Now notice as I move this, the parent task now is as big as the start of the first child task and continues on until all the children tasks are finished. And that if I was to shrink this down to 1 day, sorry, if I was to shrink this down to 1 day, the parent task was going to shrink with it. So I think you see what I'm trying to get at here. Okay, so I'm going to add another. We're going to add task, add child, and okay, so this is one thing I want to show you also. I've already got 2 child tasks already in there, but let's say as I look at it, it's like, oops, I forgot a step, and I'm thinking that in the system we're going to make it so that it creates an automatic template, and so all the tasks, all the parent tasks, and all the child tasks will show up based on what type of project it is, and then you can get rid of what you don't need. But for now, I'm manually adding everything. So let's say I added these 2, but I remember that there's one more step before you can dig foundation, and that would be called utility. Oops. Actually, survey. Let's just call survey. Okay, now what you want to do, survey is the very first step, but now it's the very last step, so we need to change it. Now as I grab this, and I'm going to use my mouse to pull it up, as I pull it up, you'll see it changes from that symbol to the plus symbol, and eventually, notice how the arrow is at the very top? That's what I want to do. I want to move the survey to the very top of the listing, and you'll notice that everything that was there is now pushed down one row, but notice that the date start time and the end times are the same, or staying the same, and this will, yeah, okay, so the starting stays the same, but obviously the survey is going to have to be done before you can dig the foundation. The digging foundation has got to be done before you frame it. So we're going to readjust everything. We're going to double click on this. This has got to be 100. 100%, it's done. And so now as you look at this and you're looking at this project, you're saying, well, okay, where are we at this point? And that as you go here, you see this is 100% done. Scroll over to this one, and it's 26% done. Are we on schedule? And it depends on what today would be. If today was Sunday, the January 3rd, we would not be on schedule. But if we was on Saturday, you're still a little bit behind. But all I'm showing you is that you can easily see how you're doing on that project. Now, once again, this is how I'm doing it. Some people will actually put teams on there. The team will be here, and the person will be here, or subcontractor, I should say. And so, you can do this however you want to. Now, okay, so I'm going to go to walls. I'm going to add a child. I'm going to say, what's the first step in walls? Walls, framing, I guess. Oops. Framing. Okay, once again, like I said, when you add a child in there, it's going to be the full length of the parent that is under. So what we're going to do here is double click on this. I started on the 1st. I'm going to say it should end on the 4th. Okay. And somehow I did that wrong. Okay. So the framing is now on the 6th. Okay, so the framing is a 2-day project. I need to switch this around so that the month is first. Okay, so we got the walls, the framing. We're going to add another child. Framing. Once the framing is done, we're going to run electrical. Okay, I'm going to drag run electrical over. I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to add. I'm going to add another child, and this one's going to say run network. Now you could have these, let's say, even though I've got these named out, run electrical and run network can be done on the same day. So that's why I'm doing that. Just to show you that they can be, you can have tasks doing starting and ending on the same day. I'm going to add a child and call this drywall. Obviously, drywall can't be done until after the electrical and cables are all ran. Okay, one thing I did notice when I was researching Gantt charts, they had it so that you can actually put arrows. So I can actually put an arrow there. I'm thinking this is just purely visual. Okay, I can get rid of the arrow if I wanted to. I can get rid of this child if I wanted to. And what I did here, I know you couldn't see my keyboard, I just clicked on it and hit the delete key. Okay, so as this gets bigger and bigger, you're not going to want to see the details of every parent task. So you can actually minimize everything, and then all you see is the name of the parent task. And once again, you can actually open them up and to see, you know, how the specifics of or the details of each task. When you click here, that will light up. If you click here, okay, so let's say I got them all just showing parents. You can click here, you'll see that this is the time span. Now I didn't set any of the percentages done to this because we're not done with the foundation part of it yet. Now the foundation part is 63% of the way done. And what that did is it took the full time, said this was done, then this is done. So basically it's saying 63% was done. So I'm going to assume that from this point to the very edge of that dark color is going to be our 63%. Cancel. Okay, so we got that. So let's go and open this up. I'll show you one last thing that I got working tonight. Okay, so now anybody can log on to here and see this, you know, that has permissions to it. But I went ahead and made it so you can export it to PDF. And so what that does, you can't see it, but when I clicked on here, it downloaded a PDF for me, and I'm hoping you can see this. And as I open up this PDF, okay, so here's the website, and here's the actual PDF. And that, notice I can't click on anything. Okay, so with the PDF you can download it and print it and rotate clockwise. So that's I had nothing to do with that. That's That's my PDF program or add-on that lets me do this. So your system might be a little bit different. Oops, I got it upside down. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this section. I'm going to minimize everything. Once again, if this is getting really big, you might want to select on the month and see more of it. If you're on the week, you can scroll back and forth. No, you don't really have to scroll on this one, but let's say I made it so big that you did have to scroll. Okay, in add task. Okay, one thing. Okay, so we got a parent called walls, and let's say this. Let me reword this one real quick just for my demonstration. So I got electrical network. Let's say cable lines. Okay, I'm going to make cable. It can be ran the same time as your run network on that. So let's say I'm going to make this the same. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab the child. I'm going to drag it up until it says plus. I'm going to go right above the run electrical and add plus. Okay, so now what I've done is this is a task called run electrical, and I've actually grouped the other two child underneath run electrical. So now run electrical, the boxes disappeared, but now it kind of looks like one of the parent timelines and that. But the run network and cable falls underneath the run electrical. So I'm just basically kind of showing you. So we got the parent project, we got the main project, which is the whole contract of building a building. We've got them broken down to task, foundation task, walls task. So within the walls task, I've got another task called run electrical, and let's just say run cables. I know I've already got one in there called run cable, and I could just call this network. Network space cable, and call this electrical. Trickle. I get nervous when I try and demonstrate things. Okay, so now let's say your walls or whatever this task has a bunch of stuff into it that you can actually group together. And that's what I've basically done here. I've grouped together all the types of cables and put them under something called run cables. But this is still, the run cables is still under walls. So if I shrink walls, the run cables is going to disappear too. Open it up, you've got one task called framing. You've got a parent subtask called run cables that you can open up, etc., etc. Okay, now remember that, let me shrink this one. Remember that this is the parent, the walls is the parent, and the run cables is part of the parent. So let's say I drag this out because the company that's going to run all my cables can't be here till Friday. Okay, so it moved everything over to Friday, and notice that the wall main task has been extended until this is actually done. Okay, so I hope you see what I'm trying to say, and if you got any comments, definitely please get with me and let me know what you think and what I should add or take away, or how you want to approach this. This is just another piece of when I actually can do the full rewrite, and that there's other projects I gotta do before I can start the rewrite, but I like to, like I said before, show you a little glimpse of the pieces of the big puzzle, which is my task. And that, and once again, so this is the Gantt chart. if you want to see a demo, if you want to play around with it, let me know, and I'll send you the URL on that. So, thank you for watching.